The grand illusion, the psychological trap of the nightlife empire. When night falls, the neon lights of extravagant districts flicker on simultaneously, tracing a ruthless and deep boundary between two worlds that can never truly touch. On one side, the silent elite manipulate massive flows of capital, their wealth incessantly multiplying even while they are in deep sleep. On the other side, ordinary laborers struggle to count every small coin, selling their youth and strength in exchange for weary days of scraping by. Yet, there exists a strange place, created by the ruling class and top psychological manipulators, where these two worlds seemingly intersect. It is a machine that crushes wealth and devastates mindsets, known as the bar. If you step into these glittering pedestals, thinking people come here merely to enjoy elaborately crafted cocktails or lose themselves in music, you have fallen completely into a trap. Behind the expensive bubbling sparkling wine and the blinding laser arrays sweeping across the ceiling lies a gargantuan psychological laboratory, an exploitation model designed perfectly down to the smallest detail. There, the financial success of the owners never stems from the actual quality of the drinks or service, but from exploiting to the marrow three fatal weaknesses of the human ego, which are the desperation of the weak, insatiable greed for material lures, and the ultimate empty vanity of men. Look directly at the long lines of young people waiting patiently under the drizzling rain just to step through the red velvet doors. Many of them earn only a minimum income, perhaps a few $1,000s a month, struggling to manage installments for small apartments and cheap fast food meals. Yet, strangely enough, they are willing to swipe credit cards, burdening themselves with skyrocketing high-interest debts just for a night at a VIP table. They open bottles valued at a small fortune, often equal to several weeks of their hard labor. Do you think they are passionate about the art of wine tasting, or enamored with the deafening sound pounding against their chests? Not at all. In reality, they are entering an invisible casino where the stake being wagered is the stability of their entire lives. The increasingly fierce polarization of wealth pushes those at the bottom of the pyramid into a state of existential crisis. The ultra-rich spend money to consolidate real power and expand business empires, while the poor throw their blood, sweat, and tears out the window to purchase a fleeting illusion of power. These financially deprived young people do not go to bars for simple entertainment. They come to buy a fateful lottery ticket called social networking. They are brainwashed by the media and blindly believe that donning fake designer clothes and sitting on an expensive sofa will help them squeeze into high society. They sip bitter wine with the intense hope that a passing glance from a billionaire or an accidental clinking of glasses with a powerful entrepreneur will instantly change the dark trajectory of their fate. Sadly, the truth is always as naked and ruthless as a razor blade. Relationships built momentarily on a foundation of alcohol, cigarette smoke, and artificial light are merely cheap illusions with no practical value. The real elite never choose their business partners or cherished life companions amidst thumping music and the thick smell of alcohol. While those who hold real power sit in perfectly soundproofed boardrooms discussing billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions, the weak exhaust their own financial lifeblood to enrich faceless masters. They carry a massive debt burden from day to day just to play the role of a wealthy person for one short night, only to wake up the next morning in a cramped rented apartment, continuing the slave cycle of bills. The creators of this night industry are peerless masters at understanding the human ego. They know how to erect magnificent stages to awaken the greed hidden deep within a segment of women who yearn to rise to the upper class quickly without wanting to sweat or toil. The first and most direct trap consists of props representing virtual value. Shiny supercars with sharp aerodynamic designs parked arrogantly in front of the entrance, alongside tall security personnel dressed like secret agents, rolling out the red carpet for guests. Few know that most of these glamorous cars are merely hourly rentals, a sophisticated marketing tool used by owners to brainwash customers. They strike the eyes of passers-by, sowing an invisible message to normalize throwing money out the window, making young women believe that paying $1,000 bills is a self-evident standard of high society. The process of leading innocent prey into the snare is ruthlessly designed through three distinct stages. The first stage is the rose-tinted, dreamy Cinderella Dream. Under dim lights that hide every flaw, young girls with radiant beauty and exquisite bodies enter with the firm belief that they will be the protagonist of a romantic story. They thirst to hunt down a hidden tycoon, a powerful man willing to scatter roses on their every footstep and rescue them from a mediocre life. They immerse themselves in the fake attention from extravagant banquets, infatuated by the sweet words uttered by men who are also trying to disguise their own hollowness. But every spotlight must eventually fade, and no dream lasts forever. The second stage hits like a bucket of ice water splashed directly onto their pride. The generous tycoons of the previous night turn out to be mostly seasoned predators, guys who love to splash borrowed prestige to find fleeting pleasure before vanishing without a trace. At this point, the dream of changing one's life through beauty shatters into pieces, leaving them with massive credit card debts from shopping for designer dresses, handbags, and expensive cosmetics to maintain the glamorous facade for baiting. Their life focus is immediately dragged down to the parched earth, shifting from dreaming of tycoon hunting to struggling with day and night labor, performing the most grueling jobs just to carry the debts created by their own greed. And then the third stage closes the curtain sorrowfully and quietly. When their radiant youth has been eroded by endless sleepless nights, when their beauty fades under thick layers of makeup and their health is depleted by smoke and chemical alcohol, that magnificent stage no longer has a place for them. A newer, fresher, and more innocent generation continues to flock in to fill the void. The girls who once dreamed of being queens now trudge back to a tedious reality, seeking a common harbor, yearning for a simple and resigned shoulder to lean on for the rest of their lives. A ruthless cycle ends. The bar owners rake in millions of dollars in net profit, while the victims leave empty-handed with souls full of unhealable scars. If the greed of women is the brick that builds the wall of illusion, then the extreme vanity of men is the reinforced concrete that holds this entire empire together sustainably. An ironic and ridiculous truth of human society is that the truly ultra-rich always find ways to hide their wealth in invisible trusts, while the nouveau riche, or those with an inferior complex, long to scream to the world how wealthy they are. The bar is a theater exclusively designed to flatter and inflate this narcissism to its peak. This manipulation is subtle because it strikes the weakest point of toxic masculinity. A real man asserts his value through the capacity to create a legacy and provide sustainable value to society. But a man with an inferiority complex needs a bottle of wine worth several $1,000s glowing in the dark to cover up his lack of competence. Observe how space architects partition power. VIP tables are never in a hidden corner. They're always placed in the most central positions, on towering pedestals, where the yearning eyes of the crowd huddling below are forced to look up in admiration. It is a masterstroke of psychological manipulation. When a man orders a bottle of wine worth as much as a high-end watch or a car installment, he is not buying an ordinary fermented liquid at all. He is buying recognition, buying subservience, and buying the admiring gazes of strangers. To respond to that thirst for status, the bar provides a spectacle so grand it is ridiculous. Dozens of service staff dressed extravagantly stand in a long line, sparklers piercing the night, music rising intensely like battle drums, all carrying a tray toward the VIP table like a royal procession. This act is essentially a highly ostentatious wealth destruction ritual. The price of the bottle is inflated dozens of times beyond its real value, yet men are still willing to open their wallets to assert their dominant status in the herd. They easily fall into an invisible arms race called the bottle-opening Olympics, where those blinded by vanity compete to burn money just to prove they are superior and have more privileges than the man at the next table. While they are intoxicated by the feeling of being a king for 15 short minutes, throwing money away like trash to buy fake, subservient smiles. The true masters of the game are smiling contentedly behind closed doors. The silent elite enjoy a glass of expensive wine with real value, leisurely counting the massive stacks of cash generated from the pathetic vanity and fragile egos of the customers screaming outside. Have you ever wondered why the music in these venues is always turned up so loud that the floor shakes, causing chest tightness and completely drowning out any effort at normal communication? Do not mistake it for a technical error by the sound engineer, nor believe the poetic excuse that high volume enhances a transcendent artistic experience. It is entirely a sophisticated behavioral manipulation weapon, calculated by the elite using rigorous scientific parameters to force customers to automatically empty their pockets. Behavioral studies from the world's leading psychological institutions have exposed this dark secret. Reality has proven that when the volume is maintained at a normal level of about 72 decibels, people tend to sip their drinks slowly, enjoy conversation, and prolong consumption time. But when the owners order the volume to be pushed to 88 decibels or higher, a compulsive physiological reaction immediately occurs. Powerful sound waves create continuous neural stimulation, making the heart beat faster, while simultaneously annihilating the capacity for linguistic communication between humans. When one cannot speak to the person opposite them, human hands will unconsciously and automatically reach for the glass in front of them as a natural defense mechanism to fill the awkward silence and the feeling of isolation amidst a noisy crowd. The result is perfect for this ruthless business equation. The speed of drinking skyrockets. The time to consume a glass is forced down to a minimum, meaning the frequency of ordering new drinks increases relentlessly. You think you are the master of your fun, enjoying personal moments of free entertainment, but in reality, you are just a compliant gear in their massive profit-making assembly line. The elite have used sound waves themselves as an invisible blade to control your throat, intervening directly in your nervous system, forcing you to drain your wallet into overpriced liquids entirely unconsciously, without any resistance. The entire space is a wealth-stripping machine, automated by sound, light, and herd pressure. A healthy and prosperous society is where humans create actual value through diligent labor, constant creativity, and useful contributions to the community. The true elite rise through intellect, iron discipline, and a vision that transcends the era. Conversely, these glittering empires of the night are merely giant parasitic machines, bloated by draining the resources of a generation lost in virtual values. They cast nets to surround the poor with cheap illusions of life change, bind the greed of women with sparkling traps of love and money, and exhaust the vanity of men with rituals of praise that are cruel in their falsehood. Look closely at the long receipts printed and paid hastily amidst the mists of intoxication. Customers are not buying joy. They are not buying entertainment. They are using their blood, sweat, and tears to pay for their own weakness, paying to cover up their insecurity and the fear of being left behind by society. This game is set up with invisible, highly sophisticated rules, where the victory never belongs to those standing under the flashing lights. For in the end, the bar is merely a colorful slaughterhouse, where flocks of sheep proudly don fake wolf fur, voluntarily lining up to surrender their lives in exchange for the illusion of being lords, before the ruthless dawn strips everything bare.